Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lords of the Night. With me, as always, the Lord of Pain, Ranting Monkey.
Hey guys.
Not with us at present, but expected shortly, is the Lord of Puppies, SDA. And I am your host, Scribe, the Lord of Punishment.
Dun dun dun.
And speak of the devil, there she is.
There she is.
Hi, sorry, the puppy was being troublesome.
Well, you are the Lord of Puppies, so you had to deal with that first.
Yeah, he was trying to break into my room.
Uh-oh. He wants to love you.
Well, he does. He wants to sit in my lap, but he also gets loud and mouthy. So, I would get him afterwards.
So, how are you guys tonight?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Thank you, baby.
I'm doing well. Monkey, how are you?
Monkey's gonna skip. We're talking about something other than how.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna leave the show. I was like, no.
No.
And hello, chat.
Like, okay, bye.
Hello, chat. Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well tonight. Let's see. Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies. Hit that like button if you haven't already, and please share our stuff. Whatever your motivation, spread it around like a bad disease.
So Blake asked how the weather is. The weather is super garbo here.
It's presently cold and dry here, but that could change at any minute.
So,
let's see. Do we have anything to cover before we get into the schnuzz?
nothing for me.
Okay. There was something I was going to mention.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the end of the show last night, somebody made a joke we all missed.
Peter made a joke.
Was it Pete? I don't remember who it was
that
that made the
Sanguine.
joke.
Sanguine?
Sanguine told us or pointed out that we missed the joke, but I think it was somebody else who made it.
I thought it was Peter, but maybe I'm mistaken. Anyway, it was a great comeback to something somebody else had said. Although I can't remember what it is now because
I told somebody to write it down.
Hang on. The joke was somebody asked if the reason or if Muslims being pedophiles is why they fuck goats.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and we took it very seriously, and we're like, oh no, come on now.
Like, bestiality and pedophilia are two very different things. I'll have you know, we are intellectuals.
Indeed.
And then somebody fucking came
Sanguine
Yeah.
is the one who pointed out their kids.
Har.
Yeah, you both get to fuck kids. And we were like, well, that's
afterwards, we had a great laugh about it.
We really did.
I felt really stupid for not getting that sooner, but yeah, so I apologize for not writing down names, but
yeah, it was right after we got off air that we saw it, and we were like, oh, because like Monkey said, we had taken the very mature route to it, and we were like, I don't feel like we should put pedophiles and donkey fuckers into the same category. That seems silly. And so,
I am ashamed of myself for being such a grown-up in that situation. I will do my best not to let that happen again. And I'm being sincere right now. That is not smart-ass.
To be immature at all times so that we don't miss jokes like that.
Monkey, you're losing your edge. Now I see why you're getting C's, girl.
Yeah. Learn to
You're also
spell
spelling
Weebo.
boy incorrectly, but then again, I opened the stream with saying that the weather was garbo, so
Greta Garbo?
Garbo. Super garbo.
I want to be alone. Anyway, let's see. So, God, there was something I was going to mention, but it has completely escaped me, apparently, for some reason. So I will just move on and hope that I remember it some another time when my early onset Alzheimer's isn't affecting me. But
hey, that's
yeah.
ableist to make fun of that.
You're absolutely right. My
cousin's ex-boyfriend, nephew's uncle, had Alzheimer's. And I'm offended.
I've completely forgotten what you said. So speaking of Alzheimer's and old men and old brains, John Conyers resigned today out of the blue.
Didn't do nothing wrong, but he resigned.
Well, yeah, I mean, according to him, he didn't do anything wrong. And according to what stories we've heard so far that are, of course, all allegations or just rumors or something, It doesn't sound like he did anything egregious, but then apparently it was enough, or maybe there was something that was about to come out that he decided to preempt by just dropping out. But either way, our favorite friend at CNN editor-at-large Chris Cillizza, tells us that John Conyers resigned today, but he still doesn't get it.
Oh, God.
Now, just so you know, this story and the one I have at the end of my prepared news stories both bookend this kind of sentiment.
Real quick.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just want to be clear about Conyers. Conyers has not come out and admitted anything. So with him, I do take the opinion of he's innocent until proven guilty. Mm-hmm. But I do despise the man as a politician, so I might make jokes about it. So I do still think presumption of innocence is still there. So
all right.
I think that's something that we've kind of run into with these allegations, and I'm assuming that we'll cover like the Melanie Martinez thing as well tonight.
I don't have that on the deck, but we can talk about it later.
It's kind of a big deal, so I'll find it if you want, or you can look it up, however you want to do it.
I'll look it up.
Okay, because that's something that I think has come up a lot with these allegations, where people ask us why we're dropping innocent until proven guilty, and I don't think it's that we are. I think it's that when a guy is like, "Oh, oops, I didn't mean to rape you," we're like, "Well, if you're going to call yourself a rapist, who am I to stop you?" But I think it is important to maintain innocent until proven guilty in cases where the person is denying the allegations and there, real due process is needed.
So, facing mounting claims of sexual harassment and increasing pressure from Democratic leaders, Michigan Representative John Conyers announced that he is resigning the Detroit area seat he's held since 1964. But the way he did suggests Conyers doesn't get the issue, period, at all, period. And I'm reading out the period just because that's how he's constructed the sentence. Because this is no longer CNN or a news service, this is a blogging post. Conyers made the announcement on Mildred Gaddis's show in Detroit, 102.7 on your radio dial, on Tuesday morning. And he spent the bulk of the first part of the interview assuring Gaddis and her listeners that his family is doing excellent amid the allegations made against him by a number of former female staffers. Conyers was making the call from a local hospital where he has been since late last month. Which is fine, but it isn't the point, or close to the point. And given the fact that this is the title of Chris Cillizza's blog is called The Point, I guess that's the point. Gaddis eventually pivoted the conversation to talk about Conyers' legacy and whether it would be impacted by the allegations against him. Quote, "My legacy can't be compromised or diminished in any way by what we're going through now," Conyers insisted. "This too shall pass." No. Again, I'm reading this as it's written by a professional journalist. No, the reality, whether Conyers wants to acknowledge it, is that he is being run out of office because of these allegations. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi of California had already called out for Conyers to resign. Ditto Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee Chairman Ben Ray Lujan of New Mexico, or Lujan, depending on how you say that. A House Ethics Committee investigation had been launched. Okay, that's an interesting sentence. All right. Yes, Conyers tried to fight these allegations, insisting they were all false. What? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong or just completely off base here. This is how the sentence is constructed. Yes, Conyers tried to fight these allegations, insisting they were all false. Should there be a comma?
Yes.
Or just maybe not even a comma. But
it doesn't need any punctuation.
I know, it really doesn't. But if you're going to put something there, not a hyphen.
Read it again. I'm sorry, I missed part of that.
Yes, Conyers tried to fight these allegations, insisting they were all false. But that didn't.
No, that should be a comma.
Yeah, but
because like a hyphen is like a completely separate thought in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah, or a sub-thought to the thing that was there before. But
yeah, I mean, it's meant to mimic normal speech patterns rather than real writing.
Yeah. Sanguine, thank you so much. Research ad, a modern fantasy about Percival the Perfect Fool. Percival the Perfect Fool. Okay, I don't know what that is, but then, of course, that is the point of the research. So I will look to that one. Thank you, Sanguine. Did I miss any? I always have to scroll up to make sure I didn't miss any like $2 ones or something that have already vanished. All right, let's try this again. But that didn't slow the push to get him out of Congress as soon as possible. Conyers has had a remarkably long congressional career, and a distinguished one, having chaired the Judiciary Committee and served as the Dean of the House, an honor given to the member who has been in the office the longest. But there is zero debate that the circumstances surrounding his resignation will be a part of his political legacy, a major part. What? Again, I have to ask as I read these things, is there a point to this? Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, I'm going to keep going because... Then there was the fact that Conyers not only announced his plans to resign, but also said he wants his son, John Conyers III, to replace him in office. Conyers III is 27 years old and has never had elected office before. Yes, our author wrote to separate one paragraph from another. You are being pushed out of Congress amid sexual harassment allegations and whispers that you stuck around too long. What better way to satisfy those critics than to try and install your son into the office you have occupied across 6 decades! ! Tone deaf, thy name is Conyers. And, okay, it's an op-ed. I don't care. That's enough. No, I mean, there's about 2 more paragraphs of Chris Cillizza just sort of waxing supremacy over, moral supremacy over this guy who's, I mean, I don't know much about Conyers. I know he's been there forever. I don't know if he's guilty of anything or not. But this guy's done more public service over the course of whatever 6 decades than Chris Cillizza's done in about the last 30 years. So I don't know.
Well, I have my political differences with Conyers, and I think he's kind of a douche sometimes, a lot of times actually. But if I'm him at this point in my career, I got to be honest, I would probably retire too, whether it was true or not. Yeah. Just because why deal with it?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're true, this doesn't get air quotes justice for the victims of. He's the one that was accused of undressing in his office all the time, right?
Yeah, changing and like walking around in his underwear and stuff because he uses his office as a changing room.
Yes, I mean, I think that's weird how often people supposedly walked in on him naked. But yeah, why put up with it? Just make it go away.
Let's see. The next one we have is the Supreme Court hears same-sex marriage cake case.
Yeah, this should be interesting.
This was a big deal today. As the Supreme Court wrestled with a clash between religious freedom and LGBT rights on Tuesday, all eyes were on Justice Anthony Kennedy, who might have to reconcile 2 strands of his jurisprudence. The case concerns a Colorado baker who refused to make a cake to celebrate a same-sex couple's marriage because he believes that God designed marriage to be between a man and a woman. Lawyers for Jack Phillips relied on 2 parts of the First Amendment, free exercise and free speech, to make his case, and at times Kennedy seemed torn during the lively and sometimes rapid-fire arguments. As a lawyer for Phillips made his free speech argument on behalf of the baker's, quote, artistic expression, Justice Elena Kagan and other liberals pounced, asking where they were supposed to draw a coherent line designating which business owners could qualify for an exemption from anti-discrimination laws. A jeweler? A makeup artist? A hairstylist? Kennedy worried about the dignity of same-sex couples. He wondered if Phillips prevailed, quote, could the baker put a sign in his window, "We do not bake cakes for gay weddings," unquote. The 81-year-old justice expressed concern about, quote, an affront to the gay community, unquote. But when the subject turned to free exercise of religion, Kennedy was infuriated by a part of the record where one of the commissioners on the Colorado Civil Rights Commission, who ruled against Phillips, noted that using freedom of religion to justify discrimination is a, quote, despicable piece of rhetoric, unquote. Kennedy wondered if that showed a hostility to religion. Kennedy later seemed to side with Phillips when he told a lawyer for the commission, quote, tolerance is essential in a free society, and tolerance is most meaningful when it's mutual. It seems to me that the state is in a position here It seems to me that the state in its position here has been neither tolerant nor respectful of Mr. Phillips' religious beliefs. More than two years ago, Kennedy penned the Supreme Court's opinion clearing the way for same-sex marriage. LGBT rights advocates often point to his soaring language about equal protection, but they acknowledge this case also taps into a different side of his jurisprudence, an expansive view of the free speech rights. They fear that if the Supreme Court ultimately sides with Phillips, it will diminish its landmark ruling in Obergefell v. Hodges. Both sides agree that a ruling in favor of Phillips would also open the door to claims from others who engage in professional services, florists, for example, okay, that their religious liberty exempts them from public accommodation laws applicable to other businesses. It was back in 1993 that Phillips opened the bakery, knowing at the outset that there would be certain cakes he would decline to make in order to abide by his religious beliefs. Quote, "I didn't want to use my artistic talents to create something that went against my Christian faith," he said in an interview, noting that he has also declined to make cakes to celebrate Halloween. Flash forward to 2012, when same-sex marriage was not yet legal in Colorado, but two men walked into the bakery. Quote, "The conversation was fairly short," Phillips remembered. "I went over and greeted them. We sat down at the desk where I had my wedding books open. The men told Phillips they wanted a cake to celebrate their planned wedding, which would be performed in another state. Phillips said he knew right away that he couldn't create the product they were looking for without violating his faith. Quote, "The Bible says, in the beginning there was male and female." Does it?
Not
like
really.
no, but what it doesn't matter really.
I know.
I mean,
I'm just saying. Let's see. He offered to make any other baked goods for the men. Quote, "At which point they both stormed out and left," he said. The couple filed a complaint with the Colorado Civil Rights Commission, which ruled in their favor, citing a state anti-discrimination law. Phillips took his case to the Colorado Court of Appeals, arguing that requiring him to provide a wedding cake for the couple violated his constitutional right to freedom of speech and free exercise of religion. The court held that the state anti-discrimination law was neutral and generally applicable and did not compel Phillips' Masterpiece Cake Shop to, quote, "support or endorse any particular religious view." It simply prohibited Phillips from discriminating against potential customers on account of their sexual orientation. Phillips then took his case to the Supreme Court, and the justices agreed to take it up after mulling it for several weeks. And then it goes into a whole long list of just more stuff about anti-discrimination laws and same-sex marriage and such. So that's the bulk. They're still deciding it right now. There probably won't be a decision out until next spring, I think it is, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was all over the news today because it was argued. Supreme Court cases don't come back that quick. So I've seen a few people comment on the Supreme Court today because we also had the Supreme Court said that the travel ban will be in effect until it's actually decided in two lower courts. Lots of people talking about the Supreme Court that don't seem to actually know how the Supreme Court operates. And this is one of those times. Everything in me says the court is going to side with the baker on this. This is not a vital public service. He was not refusing them outright service. He was just saying he would not do this for them. And that is a big difference here. However, if you watch the court, you know that law and common sense doesn't make it to the court all the time. The Kelo decision is probably the worst example of nobody thinking that the court would rule the way they did. And not only did they rule that way, they ruled unanimously that way. If you don't know what that is, the Kelo decision was an eminent domain case where the city claimed eminent domain for tax revenue purposes, which was not even close to the original intent of eminent domain. And the court sided with them, which was fucking retarded. I'm very interested in the outcome of this case. I would not be surprised to see them rule in favor of the gay couple, and if they do, that is going to change law throughout the country. It's believe it or not, right now the law is on the side of the bakers here.
Thank you. Yeah. Nope. Yes, the Bible says that almost verbatim. Mark 10:6. Well, I defer to your expert knowledge. I don't know.
Yeah, but he said at the beginning of the Bible, Mark is in the second, or in the New Testament. So,
well, okay. I mean, if we want to get into theology, a lot of Christians use the New and Old Testament, but if you're just using the New Testament, then that would be the whatever. It doesn't really matter.
That would still be the second book. It goes Matthew, Mark. Just saying.
But you're right. It does fall in line with the baker because, I mean, you can refuse to do something for people without it being discriminatory. Like, you know, if you go into like your hairdresser and you're like, I want you to do this, and they're like, yeah, I'm not ruining your life. No thanks. You know, you're allowed to refuse to do something.
I'm curious if so, and you know, I am no lawyer, but if they rule in favor of the couple, does that mean that churches have to hold gay weddings even if they don't want to?
Yeah,
Because
it does.
if they take money for the, you know, booking of the building and all the services and everything else, then a mosque has to perform a gay wedding.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the problem here, because what they're saying is that any service you offer, you have to offer to anyone. There's actually another, I wish I could remember exactly what it was, but there's a argument going on in the medical community about this very kind of thing also, with medical services such as abortion or contraceptives and hormones.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting to the point where we have to answer these questions. Can you be compelled to do something you don't want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And if the court comes down on the side of these two guys, that's what we're moving into, is the country being able to force you into things you don't want to do. And
which is a problem in my opinion. Anyway.
It is. And it can be really, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
No, Jack Cochran says gay bakers will have to make clan cakes too. Exactly. If you think this is going to, if the court comes down on the side of this couple and you think this is going to stop at gay wedding cakes, you're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it, right? Like, I don't want to use the slippery slope argument, but I'm going to, because we've seen the slippery slope time and time again with these social problems.
Real quick, I don't mean to interrupt. A couple of people have said you're roboting. I don't hear it.
I do.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I've heard it a couple times.
Just so you know, you're roboting a little bit. But this isn't even a slippery slope one. This is a fairly direct line jumping off the cliff. And
yeah,
because it literally is compelling behavior. And frankly, I don't want food cooked by somebody who's compelled and doesn't want to do it. I'm just going to throw that the fuck out there.
That's true too. But we've seen this, especially with the LGBT issues, as far as the slippery slope goes, where, you know, it goes from let us get married to, okay, now your kids are gender neutral, and you're like, whoa, back the fuck up. So it's, you know, it's a slippery slope, and like you said, it's from point A to point B. If you have to be compelled to do something, they can compel you to do anything.
Prospero says the Ranting Monkey weddings are civil and religious. In a church, the government can't force, even if the cake thing goes against RFRA. The argument here is whether or not a public service is, or you can be compelled to perform a public service. And sorry, if you do it for this, you have to do it for religions too, because the whole reason that they're using for this is the religious grounds.
Well, let's just say that if there's any, however the court rules, let's say the court rules in the favor of the couple, depending on how they word the decision is really what's going to determine what hoops you can or cannot jump through in trying to enforce this.
Yeah.
And of course, any gray areas there, someone will attempt to exploit. And then at that point, that exploitation in some way, shape, or form will eventually rise to the level of being challenged in court. We'll go through this whole process again to try to refine things down or reverse it or who knows what. I mean, however this falls down, it's going to be tested immediately by someone, you know, one way or the other. So it's going to be interesting because honestly, if I went to a place and they didn't want to make me a cake, I'd go to a different cake place. I don't know. It just seems to me like if I don't want to watch a TV show, I just turn off the TV.
Prospero says, I think you're incorrect, Ranting Monkey. The First Amendment doesn't apply as clearly to businesses. And that's where we get into the Supreme Court has ruled that businesses are basically people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, corporations are people, my friend.
And the reason why they ruled it that way, because a lot of people are like, corporations are, you know, but it's because it's to protect the right of the people who own and operate the businesses.
Sure. But
because sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, if I had to guess, I I'm going to guess that they come down on the side of the baker here, but it is going to be as Scribe was just talking about, the way the decision is worded is going to be hugely important because they are going to make it about specifically about being able to deny a certain service. Because again, he did not refuse all service. He just said, I'm not going to make you a gay wedding cake.
Right.
Yeah, he'll make you a birthday cake, though. I mean, I think that's the point.
Yeah. A couple more. This one's not really like a long story per se, because the headline kind of says it all, but Russia has been banned from the Winter Olympics by the International Olympic Committee. Russia's Olympic team has been barred from the 2018 Winter Games in Pyeongchang, if I'm saying that correctly, South Korea. The country's government officials are forbidden to attend. Its flag will not be displayed at the opening ceremony, and its anthem will not sound. Any athletes from Russia who receive special dispensation to compete will do so as individuals wearing a neutral uniform, and the official record books will forever show that Russia won 0 medals. Jesus. That was the punishment issued Tuesday to the proud sports juggernaut that has long used the Olympics as a show of global force, but was exposed for systematic doping in previously unfathomable ways. The International Olympic Committee, after completing its own prolonged investigations that reiterated what had been known for more than a year, handed Russia penalties for doping so severe that they were without precedent in Olympics history. That's basically the story. There's a documentary on Netflix. I forget what it's called, but it's all about this. It's about a guy who went to a Russian expert, and he said, I want to go on, just to see what would happen, I want to go on the same doping regimen that the Russian athletes were put on. Because he's like a documentarian or whatever. And so they started him on this regimen. But as he was going through this little project, the doctor he went to in Russia, for essentially exposing these secrets, or like he was trying to keep it under wraps. His life became under threat, and a whole bunch of crazy stuff started happening. I forget the name of the documentary. It just came out a couple months ago. Yeah, look up like Russian doping documentary on Netflix or something and give it a, Pinkala says Icarus or Icarus. Yeah, it's Icarus. Yes, Icarus. That's right. It's called Icarus on Netflix. It's really interesting because when they break down exactly how they got around the testing and were able to dope the athletes without anybody being caught, they sort of lay it out sort of like a Mission Impossible thing. It's really interesting. But anyway, so yeah, Russia's banned from the Olympics, which is interesting. And at least the last one I had.
Wait.
Okay.
Were they meddling?
Oh, monkey. Russian meddling has been banned. Monkey. So I want to read this one. It's almost like a script because they lay this out. But can you imagine what happened when John Oliver grills Dustin Hoffman about sexual harassment allegations? This is amazing. I got to say, John Oliver has outdone himself, and you'll see why in a minute.
Real quick, I haven't seen this, but I do want to go back on record as saying that the allegations against Dustin Hoffman are fucking stupid. Anyway, go ahead.
Dustin Hoffman and Last Week Tonight host John Oliver got into a heated discussion Monday night when Oliver brought up recent allegations of sexual harassment against the actor. The exchange, which was captured on video by Washington Post reporter Steven Zaitchik, took place during a panel moderated by Oliver for a 20th anniversary screening of Wag the Dog, which starred Hoffman. The poor quality video is edited, and only about 6 minutes of the 1-hour panel discussion at the 92nd Street Y in New York City was posted online by the Post. Portions of the video are hard to understand due to the poor audio quality. The comedian host brought up the allegations in front of the panel's live audience. The Post reports that about halfway through the movie discussion, Oliver began to broach the subject. Quote, "This is something we're going to have to talk about because," Oliver said, "it's hanging in the air." Oliver was referring to recent allegations made by Anna Graham Hunter in an essay which was published on November 1st by The Hollywood Reporter. In the column, she claims Hoffman, now 80, made multiple inappropriate comments and unwanted sexual advances towards her when she was a 17-year-old production assistant on the set of The Death of a Salesman in 1985. Quote, "It's hanging in the air?" Hoffman asked. From a few things you've read, you've made an incredible assumption about me. You've made the case better than anyone else can. I'm guilty, he said. He told Oliver. Weeks ago, Hoffman apologized for his alleged behavior, and his statement was published in Hunter's essay. Quote, I have the utmost respect for women and feel terrible that anything I might have done could have put her in an uncomfortable situation, Hoffman said at the time. I am sorry. It is not reflective of who I am. On Monday, Hoffman duked it out with Oliver on the stage, where the actor was joined by his fellow Wag the Dog co-star Robert De Niro, producer Jane Rosenthal, and director Barry Levinson. Okay, here we get into the meat of it. According to the Post, Hoffman said during the panel discussion that he has never met Graham. Quote, I still don't know who this woman is, Hoffman said. I've never met her. If I met her, it was in concert with other people. In the video, Oliver called out Hoffman's apology, saying he was angered by the actor's word choice. And this is Oliver quoting the apology. Quote, it's not reflective of who I am. It's that kind of response to this stuff that pisses me off, Oliver said. It is reflective of who you are. If it happened and you've given no evidence to show that it didn't happen, then there was a period of time for a while when you were a creeper around women. So it feels like a cop-out to say, well, this isn't me. Do you understand how that feels like a dismissal? I want to read that again for those in the cheap seats real quick, because this is important. It is reflective of who you are. If it happened and you've given no evidence to show that it didn't happen,
prove the negative.
Yeah, you can't prove a negative. This is John Oliver. Guilty until proven innocent is John Oliver's standard here. Hoffman replied, quote, it's difficult to answer that question. You weren't there. Hoffman also questioned whether Oliver believes everything printed about what his accuser says happened. Quote, do you believe this stuff that you read? Hoffman asked. Quote, I believe what she wrote. Yes, Oliver replied. Why? Asked Hoffman. Because there's no point in her lying, said Oliver. Well, there's a point in her not bringing this up for 40 years, Hoffman said. Oh, Dustin, Oliver said as he put his head in his hand. Hoffman went. Sorry, it's almost over. Hoffman went on to discuss behavior on movie sets, along with some of the more colorful talk and banter that would have taken place between movie crews and actors. Hoffman described how his coworkers were a family who sometimes said stupid sexual things that were meant to be funny. He reminded Oliver and the audience that this was 40 years ago. Oliver said, quote, it doesn't feel self-reflective in the way it seems the incident demands. I get no pleasure from having this conversation because you and I are not the victims here, he said. There you go.
Yeah. I will agree with Oliver on one point. This absolutely is indicative of who Dustin Hoffman is, especially if he does not remember this woman. And this is something a lot of people don't seem to grasp. Many times you are more important, or a person you're talking to is more important to you than that you are to them. If you're talking to an actor, say you meet an actor in an airport 5 years ago, and then you run into him again and go, hey, remember that time we met? They're not going to remember.
Right.
To you than you are to them. So Dustin not remembering everybody he's ever interacted with, I don't have a problem believing that. However, if this is behavior that he does so often that wasn't memorable for him, then it absolutely is who he is. I made jokes. We were joking around. That it wasn't serious. Now, if memory serves, the only accusation of anything that I would consider probably too far would be she said he grabbed his ass one time on a tarmac.
Well, the way I took it was that her description of him is not reflective of who he is. Not necessarily that what he did isn't reflective of who he is, but the way that she interpreted it or the way that she characterized his behavior or his mannerisms. Mm-hmm. That's how I took it. I mean, it was kind of an ambiguous statement, so I don't know. I'm not quite sure which way he meant it. But yeah,
I took it as that behavior is not who he is. Okay. Real quick, you've had a couple of super chats here.
I know. I was waiting. Point curation, thank you so much. Oliver is a smug douche. Don't take him seriously. I rarely do. Sanguine, thank you. How long until John Oliver has his head on the block? Because that reads like overcompensation. Add a haberdashery.
Oh.
A haberdashery. Oh my! Should I try to do an ad for a fedora company? What monkey?
In chat, Sean says, "Stop taking the side of the lying cunt monkey. I'm sick of this skeptic misandry." I'm not taking her side. I said from the beginning that I think the allegations against him are shit. I'm just saying, if you're acting in a way that doesn't jump out to you as weird, then that is exactly who you are. That's what I'm saying. I still think the allegations she's made are horse shit. Even if I took them at their absolute word, it's nothing that that should ruin a man's career.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Harvey Weinstein, if everything said against him is true, that fucker probably belongs behind bars.
Why can we just address this? Why do you idiots always give the bitches a pass? Look, here's the thing. In the skeptic,
that's what I'm known for.
Skeptic community, we talk a whole lot about false allegations. So much so that I think some people forget, meaning this person in chat, and some other people on the extreme end, usually the MGTOW end of things and MRA types, they tend to forget that people do actually get sexually assaulted. And it actually does happen. Oh my God. So, you know, sometimes people are actually victims, whether it be victims of false allegations or victims of actual abuse. Mm-hmm. Each case is different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're decidedly more difficult to prove 40 years after the fact.
Absolutely.
But the thing that really jumped out at me was John Oliver playing Witchfinder General in asking Hoffman to prove he's innocent. Prove this didn't happen. Prove you didn't do this.
Which obviously you can't prove you didn't do something. I mean,
you can't prove a negative. And if that's how Oliver is proceeding, not only with this but anything else that comes across his plate, John Oliver. I mean, there's a lot of things that I liked about John Oliver when he first premiered his show and everything. There's a lot of things that were like really funny. He's done a lot of funny stuff and some really interesting research deals before in some of his early shows. But over the course of time, when you start acting less like a comedian and more like a zealot or an activist on a crusade, it becomes less funny and becomes more just, I don't want to say disturbing so much, but it's just sort of like you're sitting on a stage with a bunch of actors who are talking about a movie they did 20 years ago. This is supposed to be celebrating something else. I'm not saying it's not necessarily a place where you can't talk about other things, but you're putting this old man on the hot seat about something in front of a live audience, trying to take him to task for something you have no knowledge about except one claim. It's a he said, she said. And Hoffman was completely right to say, you weren't there. Do you believe everything you read? And so it just, I don't know.
Well, and that's actually a major problem we have right now is that far too many people believe exactly what they read. Mm-hmm. Roy Moore, whether you like the guy or not, I have no real opinion on him. I don't know enough about him to have one. Right. I saw it was Easy on Me tweeted out today. An accuser has proof that she had a relationship with Roy Moore when she was 17, and then he goes on to call the guy a pedophile. Mm-hmm. So far, this is the only actual proof of a relationship between Roy Moore and somebody else. And while she was 17, the age of consent in Alabama is 16, and it was at the time as well. That is not proof of a crime.
What was the proof?
I didn't even see. I don't give a fuck because it doesn't matter. It was legal at the time. So even if he could fuck a 17-year-old in Alabama right now, and it wouldn't be a fucking crime.
Real quick,
just listen and believe is crap. Sorry, that's not how the world works.
You know what the proof is?
What's that?
Holy shit. Okay. Now, again, I'm with Monkey. I don't know anything about Roy Moore. I don't know his personal character or anything else. What it comes down to is what can be proven, what can't be proven. Because that's when it comes to things that are like 30, 40, 50, 60 years in the past, that's all you've got. Yeah. But anyway, Roy Moore accuser says she has proof they know each other. So hold on. No, just wait. It gets. This is interesting. Debbie Wesson Gibson, one of the 5 women who said Moore pursued them when they were teenagers, revealed an old scrapbook containing a card that read, "Happy graduation, Debbie. I wanted to give you this card myself. I know that you'll be a success in anything you do, Roy."
Oh yeah, he was definitely banging her.
Oh, holy shit! That is proof. That is proof that he knew her in passing. That's proof of nothing anyway. Okay.
Adrian wants to know who Roy Moore is. Roy Moore is a man running for the Senate in Alabama. He used to be on the Alabama Supreme Court. He was he's the person Donald Trump backed for Senate down there. And he's been accused in the last, month or so now?
At least 2 or 3 months, something like that, yeah.
Of pursuing relationships with underage women when he was a district attorney.
Yeah, like 30 or 40 years ago or something.
And if true, if the worst of the allegations are true, this goes down to the age of 14. But there's 2 women so far who have come forward with evidence. One Roy Moore had signed her yearbook, and her allegation is that she was 16 at the time. And now we have this new one who got a card from Roy, who was 17 at the time, which even if you think it's creepy as fuck, because he was like 30 or so at the time. I know one age I saw was 35. Creepy, maybe, but it wasn't illegal. So the other 2, the younger ones, have not provided any proof. So...
And I heard on the radio this morning that a recent poll in Alabama said that 71% of registered voters would still vote for Moore despite the allegations, because they don't see them as something that's substantive, if Irate Bear is listening. I love that word. That's my favorite word now.
I don't think I've ever tried to say it on air, but I won't, because I would fuck it up.
All right. SDA, there was some story that you wanted to take a look at?
The Melanie Martinez one.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, I have that pulled up. If you
mean, it's kind of a big deal. Like, people are freaking out about it.
Melanie Martinez. I don't even know who that is.
She's a shitty singer.
She was on The Voice or something. Melanie Martinez rape accuser Timothy Heller remained silent because Voice star wasn't a man. Exclusive. This comes from Newsweek, which, by the way, was sometimes sold for $1.
Those were the days.
Yeah. The worth has not gone up since then. Former Dresses musician Timothy Heller accused The Voice star Melanie Martinez of rape on Monday, and within 24 hours, Martinez tweeted a response to Heller's accusation, explaining, "Heller never said no to what we chose to do together." That doesn't sound like positive or affirmative.
Role reversal. Okay.
No, it's not. They're both women.
They're both women. Yeah.
Timothy's a woman?
Timothy is a woman.
She's a woman. I know.
Oh, okay.
I was confused reading this until I got to that part.
I don't know either of these people, so this is me learning about both of these people for the first time.
On Tuesday, Heller exclusively told Newsweek that she believes Martinez became aware of the impending accusation on November 16th and tried to keep the story from coming out. Last month, Heller tweeted that she intended to share her story of being assaulted by a former friend. Quote, "What if I have my own story of abuse, but I'm scared to ruin the person's life and I still love them in a fucked up way and the public really loves them?" she asked her followers. According to Heller, 20 minutes after she posted the tweet, Martinez tried to contact her. It was the first time Heller had heard from her in more than a year. "I started sobbing when I saw she was calling me, and I blocked her," Heller said. Martinez then tried calling Heller's boyfriend, Mikey, and sent him several text messages asking him to put her in touch with Heller. In Martinez's text message, which Newsweek has read, the 22-year-old singer said she recently dreamed about Heller, and that inspired her to get in touch. Martinez also suggests the service of a healer named Raven, which Heller said she found insane and deeply insulting. Quote, "Her fans see her as this angel who understands them," Heller explained. "So I assumed no one was going to take me seriously if I explained what she did. I've been reading all of the Me Too stories, and though I'm obviously in support of the people coming forward, I wasn't sure if my story of being assaulted fit. People don't really talk about this," Heller continued. But I now know that assault happens this way all the time. I loved her even after it happened, and I had this sick need to protect her, which I've learned is very common for victims of assault, especially those hurt by family or friends." Excuse me. According to Heller, Martinez pressured her into sexual contact on June 25th, 2015. Heller said Martinez pried her for information on her sexual preferences and suggested they play a fair... God damn it. This is why Scribe reads the news, guys. and suggested they play a flirtatious game with handcuffs. I was laughing along at first, Heller said, but Melanie was so serious. In her tweet, Heller wrote, Martinez began bartering with me, talking about the appearance of my boobs and begging to just touch them. Eventually, after hours of allegedly coercing Heller into sex, Heller said Martinez performed oral sex on her and violated her with sex toys, all while she lay still in shock, completely not reciprocating. Yeah, there's more to the story. It just keeps going on about how she doesn't like the chick because she raped her. But yeah, didn't come forward with it.
Well, in those kind of cases, I think it's easy to see why. I mean, one, people don't think of women, especially female on female rape, as kind of a thing. And it's pretty rare to hear about it. But also, this is a singer and you're a musician, and this is a singer who's a lot more powerful than you. It's kind of the same like Harvey Weinstein thing, if it's true. And I'm going to go with it's true just because Melanie Martinez was like, you know what? I'm sorry that she felt that way. And I was like, okay, if you say so. So she's not really denying it. She's saying that she never said no, but the other important part of that is that apparently from what the accuser is saying, she's saying that she was so high that she wasn't even able to give consent, and she felt like really coerced and belittled, and like she'd been beaten into it. So,
well, yeah, I maybe I should have read a little further, because she does go on to mention that they spent most of their time getting high together. That's not an excuse. I mean, but impaired judgment on both sides. I see what you're saying, where she hasn't necessarily denied it, but she has made it seem like she thought it was consensual, and I can kind of see the case for that too. This isn't one that I'm comfortable making a judgment call on, because I don't know either of them. But
also Alpha Omega keeps
just throwing that out.
Seems very concerned about the meatloaf thing. I told you guys I've got exams this week. I've been busy. I will work on it once school is done. And same thing with the everyday feminism. I'm actually going to do the everyday feminism thing first because, one, it doesn't make me want to shoot myself in the face, and two, because I got the donation for that first. So that's how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to need therapy. So.
Alrighty. Anything else, or shall we go on to the...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Skeptalk asked, why exactly do we care this much about this? Well, and I think everybody wants a lot less sexual abuse in the world. I think that shining a light, I guess, on real cases of sexual abuse, or even just sexual misunderstanding, as you could say, in all the ways it could present itself, as in, you know, a female on female thing where the one person didn't want to do it and didn't say anything because she was scared not to say anything and it was her friend. It's kind of also a lesson in say no if you don't want to do something. And on the flip side, if somebody's just laying there like, oh God, I really don't like this, but I'm not going to say it because you're weird, you know, maybe be like, oh, fuck, they're not into it.
For me, the charges and stuff are interesting because they're news. But having lived through Anita Hill, this is going to change our society, guys. How we deal with this could completely change everything. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but if you go back pre-Anita Hill and look at how the world was and then how it is today and how we treat women, as though unless they basically strap you down and hump you while you don't really want to be there, it's rape, you raping them, of course. The world changed massively because of her allegations that Justice Thomas made jokes. And we're seeing a much more disconcerting version of that right now, to where anything said is true. I mean, even if you go back to Anita Hill, they grilled her about her story. Whether you believe it was true or not, they still questioned her about it. And now we're actually being told you don't question ever. And that is fucking scary. That is fucking scary.
In the extreme, I fear a neo-Puritanism, just for the sake of surviving the possibility of being accused of something and having no recourse.
Oh, yeah, I can absolutely see that. Like, don't be alone with somebody. I mean, a lot of people have adopted that policy when it comes to dealing with women. Don't be alone with a woman who's not your wife. Even Phil DeFranco won't have a one-on-one meeting with any of his staff.
Okay. Well, let's see. We're already kind of late. Did either of you do any YouTube stuff today?
I streamed Overwatch a little bit with Clever Jester on his Twitch channel today, but that was it.
Monkey?
I have several ideas, but yeah, I couldn't sit up today. It sucked.
Okay. I cooked up a script. I've got a video all ready to go. I just have to do the sound and then to do assembly. Since we don't have much YouTube stuff, let's do a couple MSS news stuff. Then we get into the YouTube drama stuff because I know there is a little bit today.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What did I miss?
Well, hold on. Let's one thing at a time. We have people sent a lot of stories to us, and I don't want to let them all just completely fall by the wayside. So, guys, if you have news stories you'd like us to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSS News. Like tonight, we can't promise we'll get to everything that you've sent us, but we'll do the best that we can. So I'll try to get through a couple of these real quick.
Can I address something real quick?
Sure.
Sorry. Well, this is sort of YouTube stuff regarding the Meatloaf thing. Yeah, I said that I would do like the whole song for $300, like with a backing track and all that. That's what I said I'd do, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm freaking terrified, but it'll happen. I promise. I'm not singing live. I will have a fucking heart attack.
All right. So this one comes from Dax. I don't think we covered this one. How old is this? Hard to say. Anyway, Florida man. Florida man emasculated during failed attempt to rape pit bull.
The pit bull bit his junk off?
What on earth?
A 37-year-old man suffering from some very serious groin injuries after being bitten by a pit bull was admitted at the Ryder Trauma Center this morning. Jesus Ramon Sanchez from the Little Havana neighborhood in Miami was allegedly attempting to engage in sexual intercourse with a 4-year-old male pit bull when the dog defended itself by tearing off the man's genitals with its teeth.
Jack says this is a fake story.
This sounds like a fake story. What is this from? World News Daily Report. Yeah, this sounds like bullshit. I mean, these days, you see, here's the thing. These days, I wouldn't be surprised to hear a story like this, but this sounds a bit too much to be true kind of thing.
I want it to be true, though.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to skip that one then. I have no problem reading a fake news story as long as I have a realization that it is. Where's that other one that I wanted to look at? Oh, people send us a lot. Oh, here it is. Jack Cochran sends us this one. Jack the motherfucking Cochran. Demand for anal bleaching soars by 23% as women follow in the footsteps of celebrities, including Sophie Cassay, Charlotte Crosby, and Kourtney Kardashian. And there's a picture of someone doing this. This is not a full-on picture, but like a side picture of something going on there. Demand for anal bleaching has risen by about 1/5 in the past year as women, quote, feel under pressure to look like porn stars, figures suggest. The trend was sparked after celebrities, including Sophie Cassay, Charlotte Crosby, and Kourtney Kardashian, revealed that they have had the procedure. It involves lightening the color of the skin around the anus for cosmetic purposes to make it more uniform with the surrounding area.
I love that we live in a world where you have to make your anus more pleasing to the surrounding skin.
Thank you, Cryptic. A commercial for the next 6 minutes new channel, The Next Live Streams. Aha! I will have to go look that up. 6 minutes. If you have any like points you'd like me to hit in that ad, or if you'd like me to record it separately for use later, as some people have requested in the past, tweet me. Let me know if there's anything specifically you want me to cover, and I will do that. Okay.
I'm very much of the opinion you can do whatever you want with your body, but I can still judge you for it. And if you bleach your asshole, you're a moron. Don't do that.
Okay, so yeah, there's pictures on this article of one of these celebrities having her butt bleached, and yeah, okay. Let's see. Sherry Johnson, clinic manager at HB Health of Knightsbridge, said, quote, "We have seen a rise of 23% in the past year at the clinic. Laser therapy is the most popular, accounting for 95%, and cream treatments for about 5%. It's predominantly women who come for the bleaching, but we've had a few men this year too. There's not one particular age group. We get young women right through to older women. I think women are feeling under pressure from their partners to emulate the look of adult stars they are seen in porn." And then we have a series of celebrity butt shots just for fun.
I just can't imagine going to my wife and going, "Honey, look, I love you, but can we talk about the color of your asshole?" It's really putting me off. When I'm behind you and slapping your ass, all I can see is that damn brown eye.
I know. God.
I mean, I don't know.
Do you think they'll ever get into like coloring them?
Oh, sure. I've seen and or heard of tattooing it to say something or have a symbol on it. Like being surrounded by a pentagram. I've seen that
Yeah,
before.
but I don't think that's because they're like, I need to be more sexy. You know what's sexy? A pentagram. That's a guy getting drunk and going, you know what would be funny?
That's religious expression. You cannot legislate against religious expression. Come on.
I'm not trying to legislate. I'm just saying if you
That's insulting to religious people. Stop it.
But yeah, like you can't actually, I mean, like I just looked it up because
Looked it up. Don't lie.
No, I did.
Just
research. You were just talking about it. And
files.
Like, have you seen some of the possible side effects that they've like listed?
Yeah. Backscan says I need to get an ass tattoo that says "exit only." Somebody would have to touch my ass for that to happen. No.
Okay, we only got a couple minutes left before the top of the hour, so let's do one more from Thoughts from the Dryer.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Do they do labia bleaching?
I'm sure they do.
Probably not.
Because I've seen some that look like bad roast beef, and it doesn't have that pretty pink.
I know that I've heard of labial tucks and things where they kind of trim them and stuff like that. So
that's totally different, though.
I understand, but I would not be surprised if they have some kind of bleaching.
Fuck, fine, I'll Google it.
You go ahead and do that.
No, because now I'm like, I want to know. Yeah, apparently it's a fucking thing.
That's right.
Vaginal bleach. Why?
Let's see. So this last one from Thoughts from the Dryer, this comes from the Telegraph. The headline is, "Don't call us snowflakes. It damages our mental health, say young people."
Snowflakes are melting.
Being called a snowflake is damaging to mental health, young people say. Figures show that which they don't mention, figures show that the majority of young people think the term is unfair, and even more think it could have a negative effect of its own. The snowflake generation is a disparaging term now commonly used to refer to young people who are perceived to be oversensitive and intolerant of disagreement. It's not perceived, it's demonstrated.
It's truth.
But research by insurance firm Aviva found that 72% of 16 to 24-year-olds think the term is unfairly applied. Gee, you think? So you take a demographic of oversensitive young people who can't stand anyone calling them names or disagreeing with them, and 72% of them think the term is unfairly applied?
If somebody whined about being called a snowflake, I would never call them anything but a snowflake.
That's kind of how it works. While 74% think it could have a negative effect on young people's mental health. The figures also, if snowflakes damage your mental health is awfully thin to begin with.
But aren't snowflakes are so pretty?
They're so pretty.
I love snow. What?
Nothing. Hold on. My phone's beeping at me. Why is my phone beeping at me? Okay, it's work stuff.
Well, it's actually pretty accurate because from a distance, snow is pretty, but it is cold and it will kill you. And that's what these people are.
I want.
Let's see. Oh, Cryptic, thank you. Add this to the last ad since it's custom for 6. Oh, well, that's fine. Well, thank you. You didn't have to, but I appreciate it. I don't mind doing little plugs for people if they want them. Okay, it's top of the hour, so I know that we have a little bit of YouTube drama to discuss, and I know that Monkey's already thought up a deep topic, so let's go in order. What's the YouTube drama today, Monkey?
Well, the last one I saw actually made me forget about whatever else I was going to talk about. There was a video that dropped today from Coach Red Pill. If you don't know who he is, it's not surprising. But he's been attacking Kraut for Kraut's videos on the alt-right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's come out with a video where he claims Kraut is going to dox him because Kraut said he might make a video about the guy. And
it's not the same thing.
Yeah, and this is some damage control. If you watch his video, what he says that Kraut is going to come out and tell you that he's been a friend of Richard Spencer for a long time, because Coach Red Pill has kind of always tried to distance himself a little bit from the alt-right. He's what you might call alt-light. But yeah, he's been friends with Richard Spencer for a long time. That's one. 2, that he's had some shady business practices. There's a great part in this video where he's talking about this one investment he did, $25,000 in. And then he goes, and I lost money on that investment. And then he goes, well, I didn't exactly lose money. I made about I made $10,000 to $15,000. I'm like, those two statements they're not even close. Losing money and gaining $15,000 are entirely different. I'm just going to throw that out there. And then the final one is a sexual harassment claim from when he was in college. I don't know the specifics. He did a video about that a while ago, about this claim some woman made against him. And he says he's innocent. I have no reason to believe he isn't. But bringing these 3 things up is supposedly doxing. Now, Kraut has pissed off a lot of people, not just in the alt-right, but also some skeptics, because his videos, let's say some of the information in them is questionable, to be generous. And frankly, he should move on, because you're arguing with a wall here, dude. And you're using the wrong argument anyway. They don't give a damn about the science. You're barking up the wrong tree. But because of it, there are a ton of people who just like hate Kraut now, and Coach Red Pill's one of them, and has come out and declared, yes, he's going to dox him. Which even if he makes a video with everything that was said there, that's not doxing, unless he puts out more public information. These are things the guy was accused of. It's not doxing. I'm just throwing that out there. You have a super chat real quick.
Yep. Thank you, Peter, so much. No comment, but I appreciate it. If you have something you'd like me to say or broadcast, let me know.
But there is one interesting thing that he says in the video that I'm interested to see how it works out. He accuses Jeff Holiday of creating a dossier on him and slipping it to 4chan.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's a weird thing to put out there.
That would be a crazy development if it's true. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes, Jack Cochran obviously watched it too. He just said the same thing I did. But yeah, so that's shaping up to be a shit show. I'm interested to see how that one comes down. What other drama was there? I knew there was more today, and I'm so sorry I didn't write it down. I didn't expect that to come up last minute, but yeah. If I'm Kraut, I make a video that doesn't have anything to do with the science of it, because again, even if you believe race realism numbers, simple mathematics would say there are more dumb white people in America than dumb black people. So you would have to get rid of the dumb whites too. And you never see him talk about that. So suck my dick. Oh, Theron. Thank you. That was the other thing. Theron Meyer. Oh my God, this bitch. Roaming Millennial put out a tweet saying she wanted some ideas for her next video. And Salty Theron responded with, how about have a seance, get Hitler on and ask him softball questions.
Oh, Jesus.
What a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Here's what I have to say to that. I think they need to dial back Theron's hormones because the bitch is actually having her period. They're working too good. Because holy shit, really? I don't know if you guys watched the Lauren Southern live stream with, let's see, Roaming was on there and Theron was on there. I think Hunter was on there for a while as well. And there's also this crazy little Christian dude who was on there. But Theron was just losing her shit everywhere. And she attacked Roaming again during that for the Spencer interview. First of all, I am not just a Roaming fanboy. I like Roaming. We get along very good. But I have challenged her before. What she did with Richard Spencer was interview him. She wasn't there to. This wasn't a John Oliver interview where you jump on your guest and just start fucking with him. She was just interviewing the guy, letting him have his say. And if you don't think that's the right way to do it, have your own goddamn conversation with the guy. He doesn't seem to be that hard to get a hold of. Yeah, Theron, you need to adjust those fucking meds. That's all I'm saying. I believe those are the only two that I thought were really worthy of talking about tonight. Other than my deep topic kind of goes along with that. So if you guys have anything else before then, we can do that. But if not, yeah, we can jump into deep topic.
Not that comes to mind.
Me neither.
Okay. I watched a Magog live stream he did with Wizard of Cause last night. I'm a fan of both of these guys. And while I like Nick, me and him often disagree. We just have different politics. But he said something in this that is a lot of people have been saying it's really starting to irritate the fuck out of me. He talks about bearing clones, which by the description he gives would include me, because it's
Okay.
people who use avatars and just respond to things and
Oh,
yeah. So
That's
I mean,
Because no one was using an avatar before Bear. Okay.
well, for the record, when I used to blog, I used the name Ranting Monkey, talked about all this same stuff. I've been using I did that for 10 years. And the last 6 of it, I used the same fucking avatar. So I just didn't do it on YouTube, but yeah, I'm bearing clone. I understand what he's getting at there. And I don't really want to nitpick about that too much, but come on, fuck that. Bearing wasn't even the first one to do it, for fuck's sake. But he throws out this notion that we need to stop doing that because there's so much more important stuff to talk about.
whoa. Okay, so we need to stop using avatars and commenting on things because there's so much more. So what is the more appropriate thing to talk about that we're not talking about?
Well, to give context, what he says, he also says that, and specifically, going after feminists, going after SJW. So we need to stop doing that. He never actually gives us the specifics of what we're supposed to do. He says things like things that'll be better for humanity, which.
What?
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I mean, I think yelling at Marina "shut up" makes humanity a better place. I'm not gonna lie.
I agree, but here, as I was watching this, I was very much reminded of certain actors, and I wish I could think of one specifically. The only one that comes to mind is Joseph Levitt Gordon. That's his name, right?
Gordon Levitt.
Gordon
Levitt. Thank you.
Yeah.
He's one of these people who he had some success with Third Rock from the Sun, and then he became an actor who will only act in worthwhile things. You have this in any entertainment industry, and YouTube is an entertainment industry, whether we want to admit it or not. You have certain people who think that you have you have to love the art and do things for humanity. You know what? Sometimes it's okay to just laugh at jokes. Sometimes it's okay to play in the mud and to lower the bar and to just have fun. And the proof is in the pudding. If you look at the most popular things, they're always ventures that the elitists look down upon. I mean, if you look at like bubblegum pop, even me, somebody who can enjoy that at times, I can look at that and go, yeah, there's not much to that, but it's fun and it's some of the best selling stuff out there because it's what the people want. And when you do this, we need to be artistic. What you're really doing is saying people who like that other stuff are really fucking stupid. Not just the creator, but the people who like it. And it's fine to do that. I have no problem with judging things. That's fine. It's the looking down your nose at it aspect. Even if I look at something and go, that's really fucking stupid. If other people enjoy it, I don't hate it. One of my favorite examples of this is 50 Shades of Grey. Everybody who has any literary sense at all and reads this will look at it and go, this is shit. This is absolute shit. The metaphors, the description.
Oh God, the metaphors.
It is just shit. But this is one of the best-selling books of all time. Why? Because people enjoyed it. Who are you to go, you know what, this shouldn't exist? That's where I have the problem. This shouldn't happen. No, fuck you. Sorry, go ahead.
I kind of have a real-life experience of this kind of thing I think you're talking about. So I can't use names, unfortunately, because it might, be a problem. But in college, I was an English major, as I've mentioned several times. And English teachers or English professors I had were very fond of teaching classes based on their own personal works. I had this one teacher who was very much, as you said, about the craft and the art and the sort of like emotional science of writing and all this. And a lot of teachers are like that. A lot of professors like to smell their own farts and everything. Mm-hmm. For an extra credit deal one time, we were offered the opportunity to go sit and listen to an actual very well-known author who was giving a talk at our school. And my teacher, my super duper crafting art teacher, came along as well. And it turned out I was the only student that decided to go to this, so I lucked out, I suppose. But this author, who, again, very well known, can't name who it is, spent the first 20 minutes of this talk before taking questions, talking only about the business aspect of it. And they were talking about how jealous they were of Sue Grafton, who is an author that does a whole bunch of mystery books that are like A for adultery and B for betrayal. And they're like, that lady has got such a great gimmick. She's got 26 novels at best, and then she's got numbers to work on. I'm so envious that I didn't think of that. And they went through all the process of like talking about the publishing and the research and this, that, and the other thing. And I having been through the crucible for so many years of teachers talking to me about the craft and the art and when the author finally got to questions, I raised my hand. I said, you talk very in detail about, and that my teacher's sitting right next to me, by the way, and she's still like in awe of this author, I suppose. And I said, you've talked very in very much detail about the business side of it, but I don't know. Do you like to write? And there's this long, awkward pause. And my teacher's like looking at this person like with bated breath to hear, about the art and everything. And the author's like, I think I'm competent. I mean, I do a lot of research. I work really hard to get all the facts straight when I'm making a story and everything else. But this is my job. This is how I pay for my kids' college. This is how I make sure that we have health care. I mean, it's satisfying to me, but I don't think of it as an artistic pursuit. And you would have thought that someone just kicked my teacher's dog in the ass because she was just deflated. And I learned a really hard lesson that day. I mean, it was really a bucket of cold water. I mean, it's like pragmatism.
Yes,
artistic pragmatism. Now, I'm not saying that, I mean, that's a little bit off from what you were talking about versus just the fun of it. But there's two sides of it. There's like the high-minded notion of, oh, this is a pursuit, or this is a quest, this is some kind of journey of self for the betterment of mankind. And then you've got, I'm just doing it for shits and giggles, or no, this is my vocation.
So it's funny that you tell that story again, because I think we've heard it like.
I probably have heard it before.
No, you have, but it's been a while, so I'm sure it's new to a lot of people. But it's kind of funny because before, when you told that story, I wasn't very deep into, the whole author thing. And now we're actually getting close to having it published. And really the business side, the research side, the planning side takes up way more time than the actual sitting at a computer and writing.
Well,
and if you don't enjoy the business side of it, then I don't see how anybody could really become an author, because the research, the business, the preparation, just the analytics, all of that is so much more, is not more important, but more important.
Well, anybody can be an author. Not many people can make a living at it.
Well, here's the thing. If you think I don't take into account what my audience might like when I make a video, you're wrong. You're just mistaken. Sure. I make videos that I like about subjects I like. But if I have two stories sitting in front of me, one of them is about the latest tax law, which I would find interesting, and the other one is about something stupid a feminist said, the feminist one's going to win all the time for two reasons. One, I feel that I can make that funnier, and two, because I don't think my audience would really give a fuck about me talking about taxes for 10 minutes. To me, the elitist attitude is just so egotistical and insulting to the audience, because it's saying that if you don't like this high-minded stuff, well, then you're not really you suck. And that's kind of fucked up. I keep saying, one of the things that the recurring thing, and this was said in that stream as well, is that everything has been said, and as you've mentioned many times, if just saying something once worked, religion would have died out a long time ago. But it's not only that. There's a sense of this. I've mentioned the example before of Married with Children. The reason Married with Children at one time was the longest running live action sitcom is because it never changed its formula. If you watch an episode from season 1 and then watch an episode from season 10, they go together. Things have changed. The children have gotten older. They make slightly different jokes, but they stay within the formula. And I see so many people who want to. It's almost like they're ashamed of making that kind of comment or this kind of content.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm not sure what
I was going to say. When you said the Married Children deal, as weird as this sounds, I don't put that much thought into whether or not, and this is just, again, just speaking for myself, whether or not what I'm doing is going to be widely appreciated. I've got like what 20 or 2,000, almost 2,500 subscribers at this point. I don't go to a lot of effort to advertise. I don't make flashy thumbnails or sort of algorithmic titles or anything like that. And even though I didn't mean for it to, this kind of relates back to my author story. That experience made me want to be in a constant state of disillusionment, if that makes any sense. I don't like the idea that I'm like, when we read a story that turns out to be a complete fake, right? I am glad to find out that I was had. I am glad to find out that that I took something seriously that I shouldn't have, or I was faked out or something. I would rather live in a constant state of being surprised by what's true or having my preconceived notions tossed aside than live, in some kind of haze of just everything makes me happy kind of thing. And so the content I look at is I like the idea that I'm looking at something like a professor, someone who is accredited, someone who's publicly acclaimed, comes out and says something and promotes something that absolutely contradicts reality. I like knowing that, not in the sense that it pleases me, but at least that I'm not living inside of some kind of, like, I'm just listening and nodding along, and then if I'm having that experience, maybe that's what I can pass on to somebody else, my sort of disbelief / disillusionment with the powers that be, so to speak, or the people that would present themselves as authority figures. And if that formula is something that I like to do on a consistent basis, and hopefully my audience likes it too, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, this brings up a good point, because you and me came to YouTube for different reasons. I absolutely want to be seen and heard.
Sure.
I make no bones about that. If I was the next PewDiePie, I would be a happy person.
Oh, sure. Well, hell, anybody would be with that.
Well, sure. No, but you didn't come at it from that angle. You weren't looking for an audience. You were trying to get. You mentioned that you wanted to leave a record.
Yeah, it's mostly catharsis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
So somebody like you going, you know what? I'm going to do content that pleases me more than like searching out an audience. That makes sense. And in a way, that's what that the elitists do here. With the, I'm going to do my way. Fuck what the audience thinks. The difference is you never went to where you were obviously pandering to an audience. And that's what I hear every time I hear one of these guys go, well, I'm not doing that anymore because it's kind of stupid and it's lowbrow or whatever the fucking arguments are. It's like, okay, fine. And if you had done that from the beginning, at least I could give you a little bit of credit for holding out your own beliefs and doing this for your and please, I'm not saying this towards you because you didn't say it in an elitist way, but to hold out your elitist ideas of helping humanity. Which is what
I mean, I have said before that I have some tangential idea that, maybe somebody watching some of my stuff, I hope I at least inspire some people to question what they're being told. I'm not on a crusade to make that happen. I don't hold people to account for not doing it or something, but it's sort of in my mind sort of a pay it forward thing, like Olbermann and Hitchens and a whole bunch of other people. Whether I agree with them completely or not on different things, they at least inspired me to stop and listen to what I'm being told and think about it and then process it, not just sort of nod along in a haze. And whether anybody agrees with me on something or not or something else, that, let's say, if there's any collateral damage, so to speak, from the stuff that I do, that would be the greatest thing. If somebody came to me and said, I think it happened to you not too long ago, somebody said, you made me think differently about something.
Yeah, that was mind-blowing to me. It really was.
Yeah, I mean, and that would be the greatest compliment to me. Not that they agreed with me, not necessarily that they're they're just nodding along and like doing what I hope I never do like I did in the past, just nodding along to what I'm being told, but actually stop and say, well, you said this, but then you contradicted it with this, and this doesn't make any sense. And I have the greatest audience, like Point Curation, a couple of guys yesterday on the religious one I did on Islamic Pulse, they called me out and said, I think you might be stretching too far in what you're calling a thought crime. And I was like, you know what? You're probably right. I think I probably overstepped. Thank you, Diesel Dave. Please call your congressman and tell them to support Bill H.R. 3282. Call 202-224-3121 and enter your zip code. I don't know what HR 2382 is, but I'll look it up. Thank you, Diesel Dave.
The transportation infrastructure bill.
Okay.
This bill delays for an additional 2 years the effective date of regulations implementing the requirement that a commercial motor vehicle involved in interstate commerce and operated by a driver subject to federal hours of service and record duty status regulations be equipped with an electronic logging device to improve vehicle operator compliance with HOS regulations.
Oh. So they're putting a mommy device on them. Okay.
All right.
But yeah, I don't have a problem with people who don't want to make the content I make. I enjoy a lot of people who don't make content that I make. But if you started doing this and now you're having some elitist awakening, kiss my ass. I don't want to sound conceited here, but if you look at my numbers, my viewership, not my subs, my viewership, it is higher than a lot of people who have 2 or 3 times my subscribers and who have gone out and decided they're going to be elite. If you want to do that, that's fine. Don't shit on your former audience because you've decided to be high-minded. There's nothing wrong with liking what they like. There's a very good reason Rush Limbaugh has not changed his format in fucking 30 years.
I just love the fact that there are some like professional channels that I do videos on, uh, like Mike and The Root and Vox, and sometimes where my video will have more views than theirs, and they've got like 5 times the number of subscribers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I always find a little bit of evil joy in that.
Well, that's the thing. Subscribers are nice, and it's nice to have that little ego boost. But what really matters is who's watching. And everyone that I've seen do this, everyone that I've seen, oh, we shouldn't talk about that anymore. There's more important things. One, name the more important things. The last time somebody named an actual thing was the alt-right, and fuck that. Who gives a fuck? But if that's what you want to do, go do it. You don't have to shit on everyone else because they've decided. When you build an audience and then you change what you're doing, you can't be mad at the audience for not watching it anymore.
Yeah.
We've seen that with movie trailers where you watch the trailer and then you go see the movie and it has nothing to do with the fucking trailer. People are rightfully pissed off for that.
Thank you, Point Curation. 176 engaged viewers is greater than 176,000 unengaged viewers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just yeah, like Monkey said, subscriber count's nice, ego boost kind of thing to know that people at least for a moment, thought you were worthy of keeping an eye on. But at the end of the day, it's like how many people are going out of their way to watch your content. And that's, I get, 500, 600, 700 views on my deal out of a 2,500 subscriber count. That's pretty good in my book. That's
really good.
I mean, percentage wise, that sounds pretty good to me. So I don't know what that means in the grand scheme of things, but that is more people than were in my graduating class of high school on a regular basis watching my stuff, which, I mean, for people who have 100,000 subscribers or something, it probably means nothing. But to me, it's like, that still just boggles my fucking mind.
The other place that I really see this and it really fucking annoys me is the Oscars. And we've talked about this before. Movies that are hugely popular with audiences rarely end up with Best Picture. It's usually some artsy fartsy I died because I was gay kind of thing that wins.
Yeah, isn't it always like, can't you just see a movie trailer and you're like, Oscar bait?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's not like the movie that made people go, ooh, that was fun. It's the movie that made people go, oh, I guess that was heart touching and stuff.
Well, the reason for it is because the Oscars are nothing more than a bunch of self-congratulatory crap.
Yeah.
I don't want to start a fight with Scribe. We've had this discussion before. I think the Oscars are nonsense because that's what they do. It's look how great we are, how we're affecting society. Where to me, if you're making movies, the reason you should be doing it is to entertain audiences. And if you're going to congratulate yourself for something, do it for most ticket sales, for fuck's sake. That's impressive. Making a movie about a gay dude who had AIDS, okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say to that is I think that the Academy is at war with itself every particular year. There are people that are self-congratulatory, that are high-minded, that are snooty about things, that look at the craft. And then you've got the people that have actually raised up through the ranks, actually having to work stuff and can see a quality production when they spot it. So it's sort of like the author versus my professor. And I think what comes out in the wash is you get usually a compromise on a lot of things, where you get a lot of people who, on a technical level, directing or sound design or the real meat and potatoes of what actually goes on behind the scenes, usually come out in a justified way, whereas the best film and the best actor, actress, supporting, etc., those end up being, since they're the marquee awards, those end up being the ones that are sort of hoity-toity and sort of look how cool we are kind of stuff.
Yeah, I have no problem with cinematography. That's an interesting category to me that most people I don't think really give a shit about.
Yeah.
That is something you can celebrate. Like, look, when we went over Unforgiven, if you watch,
I was just about to say, I'm just Unforgiven.
the way that movie was filmed is just fucking awesome.
Every frame a painting. There's a series on YouTube called Every Frame a Painting that goes over scenes from movies, like just one scene, and breaks down the artistic inspirations of it and everything else. It's a really great series. I highly recommend looking it up if you're a film buff. Every frame a painting, and it's a great phrase also, especially in relation to Unforgiven or any movie where you can tell the person behind the camera was making a work of art with just that one angle that they were doing for a scene or something.
Yeah. But that's all I wanted to say about that. Guys, if you have questions about it, you can ask at question time, which Scribbles
is about now. So chat, this is your time. If you have questions, comments, complaints, answers, conspiracy theories, dreams, anything else you'd like us to talk about, put them in the chat now.
With that, Emperor Vulcan asks, so Ranting Monkey, what do you think is the cause of all these moralizing cunts in the skeptic community lately? This is just a guess, so I want to throw that out there. I don't know each person's individual thing, but from what I can tell, it seems to be that VidCon fucked a lot of people up. It really did. We had the election, and there was this whole sense of, oh, we won, we beat the SJWs, and then not very long after that, you follow it with people meeting the real life subjects that they've been talking about and realizing that these are people, which I've said before, if you wouldn't say it to their face, you shouldn't say it anyway. And there were a lot of people who came away from that and were like, I realized Riley Dennis was a person. And like, no shit, that doesn't make him any less stupid. So I think a lot of it was that they were forced to confront this, and there's also the very real fact that a lot of these people are more liberal than you think. They go after social justice, which seems like a very by U.S. standards conservative thing to do, when what they're really doing is attacking a dumb argument rather than attacking the ideology behind it. Somebody once commented that what the skeptics really want to do is just slow down what SJWs are doing and just question it a little bit. And for some people, that's absolutely true. They're not so much against modern feminism as they are not just rushing into modern feminism. That's the best I can answer there.
Priestess of Keck says, Scribe, do you have a Patreon? I want to give you money. Well, I'm very flattered that you do. I do not have a Patreon. I still haven't come to the point where I feel like I want to set one up, because taking money for nothing kind of feels odd to me.
Taking money for nothing.
Well, I mean, like I don't monetize my videos. I feel, I know it's weird. I know I'm an oddball. I feel more comfortable like doing an ad for somebody, like I'm giving something back for the money that you're sending me, and not just because I mean this is a hobby for me. If this was more of a vocation, then I might change my tune. But right now, it's just a very sort of windfall hobby, and just that I'm able to meet people like Monkey and SDA and talk to you guys every night, and that kind of stuff. So,
you could hit the $ in the lower left corner of your chat box. Just throw that out there.
There's that too.
I think the other thing with what you were saying, Monkey, about VidCon is that I don't think a lot of the YouTubers had much experience actually debating people in real life and having strong disagreements with somebody in person, because that can be a little scary, and you're probably going to be a little bit more respectful than when you're talking smack. But so I don't know. I think maybe that was it too, that they were like, holy shit, these are people who I said stuff about and they know.
Thank you, Terry Diamantes. Have some money for nothing. You'll have to take care of the chicks for free yourself, though. Real quick. I forget exactly what it was. No, I remember now. It was when Blair White came on to Monkey's stream way back when, right after the Lacey Green deal. And I forget exactly the context of it, but one of us, it might have been me. I think the contrast is when you only think you know someone through the short little video clips you're commenting on, and then you meet them in person and realize that how you filled in the blanks of who you thought this person was based on the limited snapshots of little commentary videos they may have done in front of a camera or something, and then you meet them, and kind of like what you were talking about, they're not just that. there is more to them than that, and that doesn't necessarily make what they were saying is right, but it does make them harder to just completely dismiss or denigrate because, you know, they're people too, etc.
I could sit down and have a drink with Riley Dennis and talk about movies and probably get along with him just fine.
Sure.
But I would still be willing to tell him to his face the stuff he says on YouTube is fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, Junkin Uncle says, I'd like to know the specific measurements of Ranting Monkey's penis for a friend. What you need to do, go to your mom, have her hold her hand out in front of her mouth and measure from the end of her hand to the back of her throat. That'll give you the length. Okay.
Let's see. Irate Prostate asks, do you think that the Kilroy event will have a similar effect on La Communauté? Only if people from quote-unquote the other side actually choose to attend. Otherwise, it's kind of going to be a love fest amongst like-minded people for the most part. Not necessarily. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody on the skeptic side is all, you know, lovey-dovey with each other necessarily, but unless there's a drastic side of opposition, it's just going to be most people just fangirling over each other.
Well, another thing, okay, and I don't, I'm just going to sound like an ass, it's fine. There seems to be a push for, like, everybody to get together and start singing Kumbaya, especially after the whole Lacey Green thing happened. And yeah, Lacey's a nice person, I'm sure she's great. She also still says a lot of dumb shit, and just because she's nice and cute, that doesn't mean I'm going to agree with her. Like, people who built their channels on debating political or social ideas are now moving to, well, let's debate them, but let's also, you know, have cookies.
Yeah, no, if we're going to discuss ideas, we discuss ideas and keep it at that. It's not, I mean, I don't mind meeting new people and everything else, but if it's, you know, if you're there to do a job, you had one job, it was to state your ideas and counter them with other ideas and have a conversation, allow the audience to make up their own minds. If you want to go out for drinks afterwards and just kind of hang out, sure, but otherwise, keep it professional.
But it's okay to get along with people you don't agree with, SDA. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you can't get along with people. But I'm not saying, like, oh, afterwards, like, you can't get along with them. What I'm saying is that there seems to be a push that within the debate, you kind of stop debating and just start hugging. And I'm like, then what's the point of being a political commentator if you're not going to commentate on politics and be controversial? Like, because no matter what you're saying, if it's political, it's going to be controversial to somebody. But it seems like they want to take all of the controversy and all of the headbutting out of debating political hot button issues. That's ridiculous.
All right. Let's see. We got a whole bunch of other stuff here. Satsu says, Monkey, you made my black ass get up and run across the room to comment on that shit.
For the record, guys, this is why I can say with no doubt in my mind that I would look Riley Dennis in the eye and tell him I think he's fucking stupid. I am meaner to my friends than I have ever been to anybody I've made a video about. And it's out of love. If I don't make jokes like that, I really don't care about you.
Life is Peachy 1996 says, what is your taste in beer? Do you like IPAs, wheats, lagers, malts, stouts? I don't drink beer.
Give me a whiskey.
Monkey's a whiskey guy. What about you, SDA? Oh yeah, you're not old enough yet, but still, you must have had beer.
I like beer that doesn't taste like beer, so but I do like stout, so like, but I like chocolate stouts and stuff like that. And I like fruity, quote unquote, beers that aren't really beers. I don't like.
She likes girl alcohol.
I love girl alcohol. Girl alcohol is bomb, and everybody knows it.
I like girl alcohol.
Food glitter is a thing.
Yeah, it'll come out in your poop.
Oh my god! Shut up, Scribe. Oh my god, food glitter is a thing. I'm so happy that food glitter is a thing. That is like, shut up. That is like the best thing ever. And Bay and I, when I go to Australia, like the one thing that we know for sure we're gonna do. Actually, it's two. We're gonna go to Build-A-Bear and we're gonna eat glittery donuts. Like,
didn't they used to just call that sprinkles?
No, it's like glitter.
It's glitter that'll pass through you and come out in your poop.
Glitter. That is amazing.
You'll poop sparkles, yeah.
For the love of God, check your Twitter before Weibo has a stroke.
Okay, all right. I checked the Twitter. So what has Weibo sent me on the Twitter? Well, let's see. She sent me 2 memes. One, they're both of the exact same image. They're both images of Hitler with quotes next to them. And the first one says, "You're all literally me, Hitler."
Nice.
And the second one says, "Roaming millennial is literally me, Hitler, but also Theron Meyer." Personally, I would take a picture of Gutenberg and say,
Yes.
"Hitler is literally me, Gutenberg."
For the record, guys, tomorrow night.
She made them herself. Oh, yay, Weibo! You get a gold star on your head, and that's not some kind of German joke. Wait, never mind.
Did you use C++ to make those?
Yes, did you?
Tomorrow night, joining us, guys, for the entire 2 hours is going to be Drunken Uncle. And if you guys aren't familiar with his work, go watch it. I fucking love this guy. He's funny as shit. And if you think SDA interrupts a lot, wait till Drunkle's here.
I don't interrupt a lot.
Yes, you do. Own it.
Don't.
Fucking own it, damn it.
Let's see. You didn't read the...
I love you.
Sorry. Bye, Lady Monkey.
Oh, I should have mic'd.
Okay.
That's my fault, guys. That was unprofessional.
Oh, no. Because we're so professional here. We're card-carrying professionals. Weibo Jones says, you didn't read the TM next to the Hitler in the first one. It was a clone meme. Oh, so like the boys from Brazil kind of clone meme? Scribe Light, are you on OkCupid, says Scott McGinnis. Are you looking for a date?
Earlier, somebody asked my heritage. They actually use different things. As best I can trace it, I am American. I am 3/4 white as fuck Irish and 1/4 American Indian, which you would never know from looking at me.
Let's see. Oh, Weibo Jones says, no, like skeptic clone meme. Oh, that's some Inception type memeing shit right there.
Hey, Scribe, will you like privately tell me who the author was? I'm curious.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
I'd like to know too, because I think I do. I actually think I've heard an author talk about that situation.
Oh, yeah, I really want to know.
But then again, I've heard like 4 different authors say that.
I think that's just anybody who makes money doing that. It's like, well, you have to do the money side of things.
I'm going to lose a thought here if I don't say it now. Did you guys watch Armored Skeptic's Top 10 Mistakes?
Nope.
No.
He did a video of himself talking about the top 10 mistakes he's made on YouTube in general. And I felt bad watching it because the only thing I could think is, where is the vest going to come up on this list? And then he never actually mentioned. I was like, I was so disappointed. You should have pointed that out. You should have pointed out that you wore a vest that was 2 sizes too small for you.
Monkey.
It's true.
Let's see. Weibo John says, I am 1/64th Cherokee on my adoptive mother's family side. Yeah, exactly. That was a comment made by one of the guys that did a video on recently where he's talking about diversity in the workplace, and he says, well, I'm 1/64th Cherokee, which makes me a little diverse.
Yes.
I'm like you. And I was like, oh no. And I'm quoting. He says, so I'm a little diverse. I'm like, oh, so the impurity of your bloodline relieves you of your white guilt. It does it. Let's see. Other questions.
No, your boy Pat just said monkey is Elizabeth Warren.
Monkahontas.
Much like Irate Bear.
Uh-oh.
My white dad way took over the gene pool. My mom in the summertime would get dark enough that she looked like Puerto Rican. My older brother would look actually black, and my white ass looked like what doesn't belong with this picture.
You were adopted.
Yeah. So the blood is in there, but it just doesn't come out.
Yeah, if I let myself tan, I get like freakishly dark.
Backstan asks, some dumb American, would you... Oh, I get... Okay. Starts with some dumb American, then says, would you guys be okay with getting rid of the death penalty and replacing it with a memory wipe and re-education program?
What?
No.
Like, we
no.
can't do that.
That releases someone from the responsibility the same as death would, effectively.
Oh, Real quick, Doubting Tommy says, Renting Monkey, will you let your audience know I will be on the Morning Brew tomorrow to discuss my personal involvement with the gay wedding case that is being heard in the Supreme Court?
Ooh.
Absolutely. There you go.
There you go. The Morning Brew. Who does the Morning Brew?
That's oh God, what's her name?
Mad Woman Muses?
Yes.
Okay. Mad Woman Muses. I think that's all one word. Look it up on YouTube and go subscribe if you like that. Let's see. Minding Freedom says, guys, please vote for the greatest heel turn of 2017. Vote for Lacey Green, PewDiePie, iDubbbz, or Kraut NT. And there's a link to Freedom's Twitter account where he's got a poll up, I suppose. The greatest heel turn.
I don't really think any of them did.
Lacey Green turn heel. Well, I mean, if you mean by getting together with Chris Reagan and saying things that I don't understand. I don't know. Anyway.
Stacy Gardner says, so Ranting Monkey, you were a photo negative of your family. Yes. Bobby Bob, who's the bigger political sellout, Elizabeth Warren or Ted Cruz? Oh. I don't think Elizabeth Warren's really a sellout. I think she's well, I'm going to say this about both. I don't think either are sellouts. I think they're both idiots.
Yeah, I don't know about sellout for either one of them. I do. Before she was ever a politician, I saw some documentary stuff with Elizabeth Warren in regards to the financial crisis and some things that she said and did up until in trying to create the Consumer Protection Agency. And even if you disagree how it's being run or how it was implemented, I can't necessarily disagree with the thrust of its initial purpose prior to it being screwed around with by Congress, especially in the aftermath of the 2008 deal and the toxic mortgages and such. So I don't completely disrespect her, even with the whole Pocahontas thing. I think she has some merit on some things. But she did sell out when she endorsed Hillary. That is true, Raisin Sack. When she just like grit her teeth and went along with Hillary, that was selling out for sure.
Sure. Mining Freedom says Lacey Green did something that turned most SJWs against her. That is the definition of a heel turn. To me, a heel turn is when you change your mind, not somebody else's.
Yeah.
It would be like saying I support feminism and then turning around and becoming an MRA. That would be a heel turn, in my opinion.
Yeah. And it's more of a hypocrisy too. I mean, if somebody changes their mind and they explain it to you like this happened and I thought about it and I decided I was wrong or something like that, I wouldn't call it a heel turn. If someone turns on their heel, it's like an instantaneous thing. It's a reflexive thing, and it's entirely out of character without justification. That's how I see a heel turn. But again, like Monkey said, having other people get upset at you for saying what you want to say isn't them doing a heel turn necessarily.
But I'm not telling people not to go vote in your poll. Go vote in the poll.
Pat says Lacey Green went from Andrea Dworkin and moved closely to Christina Hoff Sommers. Well, I mean, if it's a personal evolution of something, but again, I guess you'd have to quantify what you mean by heel turn. Someone wising up or changing their mind.
Jack, you fucking kill me. Jack the motherfucking Cochran says, does anyone else think that Marina Shut Up is the type of feminist to make cookies with her boob juices? Yes, I do.
I don't even think I'd attribute Marina with that. That's a bit. I haven't watched everything that Marina Shut Up's ever done, but I don't think she's quite that off the edge, is she?
She's out there.
Okay.
Actually, though, I think if you watch Marina lately, I would keep an eye on her for the next 2 or 3 years, and I bet you she will not be feminist by the definition she's using now in a couple of years. She started to have to grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that'll change your mind. Suddenly priorities change.
Oh yeah, hippies turn into yuppies. It just happens. Yep. BG says, what is the stupidest thing you've done that paid off? The stupidest thing I've done that paid off.
Tried to write a book. And then it worked out.
Well, without getting into deep details, I used a really lame pickup line on a girl once, and I got laid.
was the
And
line?
I wasn't even expecting it. I honestly, and I swear to God, I don't remember. I just remember it was stupid, and it was just a lame attempt at trying to be cool.
What was it?
I don't remember, honestly.
How do you not remember that?
I did well because there was some alcohol involved. I don't know what to tell you. I just know that I said something stupid.
You know what? If you're gonna have an unsatisfactory story with no ending, don't tell it, because now I want to know what the line was, and we're never gonna know.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
You know what would look good on you?
Uh-huh.
Me.
Oh, well, okay. SDA, here's your challenge, and there is your story seed. You can make up a better story than what I told just based on the outline. Anybody else?
No.
Anybody else in the chat can too.
Thank you for bringing that up, Pat. I forgot to mention it earlier. Yeah, there was an article. I think Breitbart was one who pointed it out. I didn't read the original that it comes from because Breitbart doesn't actually do their own reporting. But Pink has said she's raising her children gender neutral.
That's right.
My first thought about that was, are you making the girl stand up to pee?
Mm-hmm.
You can go as gender neutral as you want, but there's still biology. You can't get around.
Raising your child as gender neutral. So you're going to deny them. So how do you corral your child's life to avoid any and all experiences of their nature? I don't. That's insane.
Well, I'm just wondering how you do gender neutral. Like if they start to go too feminine, do you slap them for it?
Well, yeah. Can you imagine how much micromanaging of your child's life you would have to do to actually fulfill that claim? Do you know how screwed up your kid's going to be by the time they get to adulthood? How teenagehood? They're going to be so rebellious trying to figure out who they are on their own without you trying to corral them into this neutral Switzerland box for their entire life.
Yeah, it's well, for the most part, from what I've seen, when people say they're going to be gender neutral with their children, what they basically mean is they're going to dress girls like boys and boys like girls. There's nothing actually neutral about it. If you wanted to go neutral, I mean, is there even a neutral dress? I mean, how would you do that?
A burlap sack.
There you go.
Cryptic, thank you. Scribe's line was, "If you jingle my bells, you'll have a white Christmas."
Oh, there you go.
No, he's not that clever.
It's true.
If you jingle my bells, you'll have a white Christmas.
I want Irate Bear to say that to me.
Oh, that's because you're an American woman who's easily swayed by accents. That's really weird.
Really, I don't like British accents that much.
Oh yeah, okay.
Irate Bear's voice.
Sure.
Sure you don't. Liam Neeson.
But did he have a British accent? He kind of did like his weird American thing in that.
In what movie?
In Star Wars.
Oh, well, yeah, he watered it down quite a bit, but it was in there somewhere.
He waters it down.
Weebo Jones says, "Isn't Irate Bear married, though?" Irate Bear has clarified his relationship on several occasions, but I'd ask him about that. Your boy Pat says, "I'm a sucker for accents." Was that an innuendo?
I like a nice Southern girl accent. I will admit that.
Yeah, a pale redheaded Southern belle is kind of my sort of dream girl construct. I mean, there has to be more than that, obviously. But when I think of like what would turn me on the most, a curvy pale redhead Southern belle would just about knock me over 16 Ways from Sunday. And
there's people.
See, I prefer like more neutral accents. There aren't really any like heavy accents that super do it for me.
Not like a heavy Southern belle, like a classy Southern belle.
Yeah.
Something that I want to dirty up a bit.
Ew! God damn it, Scribe. You're disgusting. Like,
I know.
No, for me, it's just like tall and usually long hair is white too. I don't know. I just like tall.
If you had a sex robot, what would you name it? Cum catcher.
Jizz dumpster. Oh no, sorry, Robo slut.
Robo slut. You speaking into
wait, I'm trying to think of it. I'm trying to think of it.
While you're thinking, Ranting Monkey, you speaking into the mic closely, that's a very strange thing to me. Sorry about that. I'll try to work on it.
I know what SDAs would be. Altair.
I don't get it.
Assassin's Creed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't play.
No, but a sex robot should be more satisfying than like a person with poor skills. So I don't think that would be the.
Oh, I know what you call it. You call it robe.
Nice.
No. You don't have sex.
Do you think lesbians will buy female sex dolls?
No.
I don't know. Let's see. Scribe, did you see that redhead debutante in a dress that gave a long speech destroying feminism? I don't think that I did. You'll have to send me a link to that one.
Yeah, send him his new porn material.
Or give me a name or something.
You know what else we didn't talk about?
What's that?
Cracked.
Okay.
What did Cracked do today?
It fired all of their staff.
Did they?
Yeah, they
What day?
Everybody.
What?
Why?
Because they're not making money because they put out shit.
Oh, let's see. Where is it? I guess
What does Cracked do?
So Cracked used to be the poor man's Mad magazine in a print form, and then they moved on to online to do like comedy skits and like movie reviews and try to do stuff. I've done one video on something they did where the guy was trying to criticize the Hurt Locker as not an accurate portrayal of military logistics and combat and stuff. And then he went on to compare it to a whole bunch of other movies that are not accurate portrayals of stuff. And then anyway, they laid off everybody. They're getting really preachy. P-Dog Knight, Lawyer Dog, listening at work tonight, guys. Thought I'd hit tip jar before you finish. Thank you, P-Dog. Really appreciate that.
Sweet, that's cool.
Edgy comedy website Cracked has silently let go a lot of its staff after various writers and some senior staff were let go from the site, which has been confirmed by various writers let go, and the executive editor David Wong confirmed the news. Wow. Okay.
I hadn't been to Cracked for a long time, so I went over there today and I was just looking, and I see why they laid everybody off. It's
all horseshit now. It's been for a long time.
Most of it is top 5 lists.
Yes, top 5s.
And then if you go look at their videos, I actually linked one of them on my Twitter. There's a video of if tampon companies advertise for real or some shit like that. And it's this skit about a guy who's up there talking about, bleeding and schluffing and putting shit up your hoo-ha. And this is something that might have been funny back in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
But we live in a time where this is not at all risque. There's nothing edgy about it. It's just gross. And yeah, so I saw a whole lot of people on Twitter. If you hit up #Cracked, you will see a whole bunch of people talking about these really talented writers who did such great work. Here's the thing. If you were that talented and it was that great, you wouldn't have to lay them all off.
Faith is Abdication says her name is Daisy Cousins at Liberty Fest 2017. Okay, I will take a look. I have never heard of her before. Let's see. We got 2-minute warning, guys. You have anything left for the next minute or two? Chatmort says, didn't David Wong write John Dies at the end? A David Wong did. I don't know if is it the same David Wong at Cracked? I don't know.
I don't know. I just think it's funny how many people are like all surprised by this and acting as though Cracked hasn't even been the Onion for years.
No.
They're just bad.
Yeah, they were never anything that could compare to Mad Magazine even back in the day. Your boy Pat says, were they the ones that did the trans man spreading on their period? I don't know.
I don't know, but I hope so.
Weebo Jones says, tell SDA she's pretty, Scribe Light and Ranting Monkey.
SDA, you're pretty.
Oh, thanks, Weebo.
Very pretty.
What? Oh. Life is Peachy says, Scribe Light, about bad writing, I have 50 Shades of Grey paint in my garage. Oh, 50 Shades of Grey paint. Har. Let's see. I think that is just about to do it. Now, of course, as I say that, somebody's going to tell a joke or a punchline or something just as we start to wrap up, because it happened last night.
You know what?
I'm looking at you, Sanguine.
Well, real quick, also last week, or I think it was the last time we were on your show, we got a super chat after the show ended.
Yes, we did.
That came from Peter. Thank you, Peter. Just wanted to recognize that.
Yes, it's true. We didn't have a chance to do that. All right, guys. I think that will wrap us up for the night. Chat, as always, thank you so much for coming out today. Scott McGinnis, Scribe Light, how frequently do you masturbate? Every day.
He's doing it right now.
Yeah.
Ew.
Hearing my own voice is giving me a stiffy.
God, and if somebody's going to send him a redhead, he's going to get stuff on his computer.
Yes. As soon as I get a P.O. box, you guys, just send me redheads. Just send them. Chat, thank you so much for showing up tonight. Moderators, thank you as always for doing what you do. You are the unsung heroes. Satsu, hope you enjoy your wrench for whatever it's worth. Everybody who donated, thank you so much. I'll be working on those ads to get those ready for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we are on Monkey's channel, where our guest will be Drunken Uncle, so be sure to tune in for that. Monkey, SDA, as always, thank you for joining me tonight, and that's scintillating conversation. Everybody, your lives make us sad. We will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye.